So welcome to a new Game Stuff episode, and I have a lot of very interesting items to show today, even up to the very end, so stick around for that. And I just want to say a big thank you for everybody for last week's video. So many of you have enjoyed my 50 best RPGs. They were just my opinion, there's no official list out there, but I really just wanted to throw my hat in and just talk about all the RPGs that I grew up with, and I had a really good time doing it. So if you're brand new to the channel, we cover a lot of RPGs here. We cover a lot of video games. I've been doing it for 16 years. I've done about 1,200 episodes. Where does the time go? I don't know, but you guys can tell me, what have you picked up in the way of new game stuff? Have you picked up some new video games, some new merch, some new toys? Let me know down below. So we're gonna start off with a banger here, and I sniped this off eBay, and I've been waiting for this for around 7 years, and that is the King of Monsters on the Neo Geo, the AES right here. Now, what was the deal here? Okay, just to tell you the backstory, back in the early 90s, there was a Neo Geo in my local arcade, and it had a bunch of games on it. It had Magician Lord, NEM 1975, Top Players Golf, and then all of a sudden, one day, this was on there, and I was like, oh my god. And it was so cool because you can pick, you know, a bunch of different monsters and go around the city, and you can go against your friends as well. And you're just bashing the heck out of the city, bashing your friends, bashing the CPU. A great amount of fun here, and got a lot of nostalgia for the King of Monsters. And I've been waiting for one to show up for a reasonable price for a very long time, and they never show up. One day, all of a sudden it shows up, and I'm like, okay, don't. And only one person had bid on it, and it hadn't gotten high. And so I waited to the last seconds. It was like 10, 9, 8, and I went bang, and I got it, and I was like, yes! This is the one game that I wanted for the Neo Geo for a long time, especially the American version of it, because I got so much nostalgia for the Neo Geo, and this one really does mean a lot to me and my childhood. Okay, this is a very, very unusual item, and you'll be like, where can I order this from? And I'm like, this was like a one-shot that I saw on eBay. It's a counterfeit because there's no official ones. Here we go, are you ready for this? Final Fantasy I, the vinyl soundtrack. With that beautiful artwork there. Let's take some of that off and really get up there and look at that. There's our heroes there. And yes, here it is. Look at this record. And I snagged this off eBay, and I'm like, I really want to get this. It comes with these things inside. So yeah, so a lot of people do counterfeit vinyl, and I'm telling you, I would buy all of the original Final Fantasies if they released them on vinyl. But of course, they have not done that. So I saw this, it was a reasonable price, and I'm like, you know what? This game really means a lot to me. I really, really love this. Obviously I picked it up the week it was released back in the 90s, and I absolutely adored it. And that's like about 34 years ago now, so very happy to get the soundtrack. Just look on eBay every once in a while, type of Final Fantasy vinyl and see what shows up for you. Because I mean, yeah, these are so hard to find, and they do them in such small print runs. I don't even know who makes them. Okay, so I did that big RPG episode, the 50 best RPGs of all time. But you know what? A couple of years ago, I had my friend Andrew out, and we did the best RPGs on the Sega Genesis. And there was one game that there's quite a few people going, John, you didn't mention this game, you didn't mention this game. And that game is Shadowrun. I got a history with Shadowrun. I gotta pull out my copy of it. Me and my friends in like 1988-89 picked up this version of the tabletop role-playing game, and we played it. We loved it. We thought Cyberpunk was like the coolest concept ever, and so we loved this game so much. And just look at that artwork. So it was pretty cool because I've often seen this game, and I'm like, yeah, I'll get around to it one day. One day I'll try it out and see what it's really like. And I finally snagged a copy from Press Start Video Games. I went there one day, and they had this beautiful mint copy, and this was a really reasonable price. And I'm like, today's the day I jump in. And I played it, and I want to say, I kind of like it. I don't love it. I'm not in love with this. I'm in love with the box art. I'm in love with the idea of it, running around the city and stuff like that, but it didn't really work for me, and I think I still need to spend a bit more time with it. But it's one of those games that's just like, I don't know if it's really for me. Because I love Cyberpunk, but I mean, just running around, I was like, what am I doing? Where am I going in this game? What's happening? And all of that. So I need to spend a lot more time with it. But what I played was interesting. What did you guys think of this game? Shadowrun, do you have like a lot of memories of it back in the day? So yes, I've been playing the Poly Mega, and that's been enabling me to get some games that I normally wouldn't be able to play. And some of those games are Neo Geo games and Neo Geo CD games, and they're reasonably priced. Here is our first game, Savage Rain, right here. Now, I first played this in an arcade in Vancouver in like 1995. I walked in, and I saw it there, and I'm like, and they actually had it on a big screen, and I was like, look at this is amazing. And what was kind of cool about it was a one-on-one fighting game, but just like Fatal Fury, you could jump into the background or the foreground. And the cast of characters was so unique and so eccentric. And that's what I want to say. And I want to say that some of the backgrounds in here are really good. This is one game that I think is highly underappreciated. I never hear anybody talk about, oh, Savage Rain. Nobody ever talks about that. Even when I was in that arcade back then, it just felt like it was a bit of a cult classic. It was in that arcade not for too long, then it was taken out again. And I felt like I was the only one that was really loving it and really enjoying what you could do. And I love the different projectile weapons and things that you can do and all the special moves. Really a classic game, and one that people, as they say, don't talk about enough. And yes, I had to grab another Neo Geo game, another Neo Geo CD game, and that is for Aggressors of Dark Combat. What a name! What a name! It was always such a strange name. I'm like, Aggressors of Dark Combat. I love the Japanese and their naming systems. It's so wild. Attack! Why was I interested in this game? It's fascinating. The thing that really took me into this game was that you can play as the ninja Fuma. As you know, Fuma is one of my favorite characters from World Heroes, and I really loved him in that series. And to see him in this was like, oh, that's really weird that they would take his character and just put it in this fighting game. And this is a kind of unusual fighting games that you can run around each other back and forth. I think they were really trying to change up the fighting genre a little bit. I don't know if this exactly works 100%, but I do have fun playing it. It's not a perfect game. And sometimes you're like, man, oh man, like, this is kind of, the combat's okay, some of the combos are right, and then all of a sudden you're like doing some flashy moves, and you're like, wait, this is actually really amazing. And then you look at the graphics and you're like, the characters are so big on the screen, and you're like, this is actually pretty good. And another game that I think is a bit of a cult classic. I mean, most of the Neo Geo games now, people aren't talking about the same anymore. It's only the older guys that always remember this stuff. And I really hope a whole brand new audience gets to discover some of these games. That's why I like to cover these games and talk about them, just in case you're interested. And some of these Neo Geo CD games are not that expensive.
You win!
Okay, I thought I'd just shake up the games for a second and show you some toys that I picked up. Yes, look at this. I'm gonna put them right up here. Look at these Dragon Quest characters. And I gotta say something super cute in a second here. But look at these guys. Look at these, aren't these fantastic? Yeah, I got them off Amazon. I think you can still order them from Amazon. And so just type in like Dragon Quest figures or something like that. That's what I think of what I did, and they got recommended to me. Look at all of this stuff. I just want to show you all of these guys right here. Really nice looking stuff. And it was really super cute that I had these kind of set up. I was going to come in to do this episode, and my daughter came in and she said, oh my god, she came right here, and she was just in love with these characters. She thought it was so great. She knows what slimes are because she's got a bunch of them in her room, the big plushy ones and all that. And so what we did, and this is the really cute thing, is I sat and I filmed an episode reviewing these with her, and she did the review. And I said, what do you like about this one and all that? Of course, I'm not going to show that. I'm not going to put my daughter in any videos and stuff like that. She's way too young. But it's just one of those things that I'll always have that time capsule that me and my daughter got to review the Dragon Quest figures together. And it'll be a little moment, a little memory, especially when she gets a lot older. We're like looking back and going, oh my God, it's so cute to capture that kind of moment. And I'm going to try to do that a lot more with her. It's film episodes just with me and her, just for us. And I think that's just something really fun. And that's what these things really do. Every time she comes in the room, she has to come up and see the Dragon Quest figures. Okay, so going back to some older games, I had to pick this up. And this is GDarus on the PlayStation 1. Okay, so this was originally an arcade game, and then they ported it to the PlayStation 1. And it's fascinating because I never owned the game. I owned the soundtrack first. I bought this soundtrack probably in the year 2000, 2001. And so me and my friends loved this soundtrack. And I especially fell in love with the soundtrack. This is actually up there in my probably top 20 of all time. This is Untada doing the music for this game. And so I would just listen to this music over and over. I just loved it. It's so surreal and weird and wild. Some of the tracks are great. Some of them are out there, I'm telling you. Loved the music, and I just absolutely adored it. And then, so back in the day, I bought a copy of GDarus, the PlayStation 1, and I put it in the PlayStation, and it just wasn't running properly. It was out of sync and all that, and it just wasn't doing very well, and the music was out of sync. And I was just like, oh God, this is no way to play this. And I thought, well, maybe it's because it's a copy game. No, because I think, I picked this up, I put it in my Polymega, copied it there, no problem, and I started to play it. So I was playing it earlier today to capture footage for this, and it just hard crashed on me. I wonder, I think, it's a very nice little game when it's running, but it goes out of sync and all that kinds of stuff. And so, what I prefer? I prefer the music to the game. I like the music better than the game because the game never seems to run fine for me. Maybe I'll track down the arcade game one day and stuff like that, but man, the PlayStation 1 seems to be, I don't know, like haunted or something. Like, have you guys played this? Is it just me? Because I played 2 versions of it now, and both of them have done the same thing. Like, it was crazy. And it's really too bad because it is a really fun side view shooter with great music if the game will let you listen to it. Okay, some RPGs here, and some older RPGs, and some that I should have bought a long time ago, but I got a great deal on these. And this first one is on the PlayStation, Jade Cocoon. Has anybody heard of this game? Kind of like a monster breeding kind of RPG game. The one thing that I want to say is the artwork must have been done by Studio Ghibli back in the day, because the whole opening looks like something like Nausicaa, the Valley of the Wind. It's like so super amazing. I was like, my God. And my friend Andrew got into this, if I remember right. I want to talk to him about this game again, because it's like triggered an old memory, and he was the one going, oh my God, this game is so cool. Combat is really interesting. Graphics are good. Oh my God, I start to play it. I forgot about tank controls, and I'm like, oh, it's so hard. I was like, oh my God, tank controls are so weird. I had to get used to them again.
That's the way it is.
But what I played, I thought was very interesting, and it's part of that explosion of the PlayStation 1. The PlayStation 1 exploded with RPGs, and this is one of those RPGs that came out. There were so many coming out at that time, and I was like, one day I'll get a copy of it. I finally got one for my collection, which I'm really happy to have. A lot of you will say, what? You never owned this game? Yes, I had a copy of it. I never had a beautiful, legit physical copy, which I do have now, and that's for Breath of Fire 4. This game is a magnum opus. I even said in my 50 best RPGs of all time, this should be in there. And the claim to fame of this game is the animation. The animation is just absolutely gorgeous. Just never mind running around the environments, but when you get into combat, everything's so beautifully animated. They really cared about this, And it's so sad. I mean, I really wish we could get some more Breath of Fire games. You know, whatever happened to that series? Doesn't it seem so crazy? There's so many series that just stop. They're like, and that's the end of it. And nobody ever makes any more. And this is Capcom. You know, Capcom, we would love another Breath of Fire. But I think, you know, the cost of development nowadays, would they get their money back on an investment like that? You know, yes, they would on a Monster Hunter or, you know, Resident Evil game. But a Breath of Fire, maybe it's too much of a gamble. And I really wish that Capcom would start gambling again and deliver some beautiful games like this. This is a real true classic. Okay, Bitmap Bureau sent this over, and that is for Xeno Crisis on the Super Nintendo. Yes, this is a great game, and it's being ported to like every system now. And I think that's a great thing. I gotta say, I loved it, and I started playing it on Game Pass back in the day, before it got taken off there, and I loved it. And the one thing that I really thought, I'm like, this feels like a real Neo Geo game. Yes, it's come to the Neo Geo as well, but it's just so much fun running around, you know, fighting wave after wave of monsters. It's difficult, it's very difficult, but it's really cool, and I'm so happy that these games were made, and I love it that they're getting ported to every single system known to mankind. So I recommend Xeno Crisis for anybody who's never played it before. The action is so fast and kinetic, I can't recommend it enough. Try Xeno Crisis.
Keep your cool.
Okay, I went to the Vancouver Retro Gaming Expo and I picked up a couple of things. This was one of the first things I picked up, and this is one that I can't believe I never had a copy of, and that is Victory Run. It was Victory Run when they brought it over here for the TurboGrafx, and I wanted to get this, not because it's a great game, because it realistically isn't a great game, but I love the box art, and I love the Japanese box art. I've only ever seen the American box art for Victory Run on the TurboGrafx, and what can I say about this game? I was capturing footage for it earlier on, and I gotta say something here. It made me feel old. It really did. I was like, this is aging me. This game is aging me just playing it. Because at the time, I can't believe it was cutting edge. It was absolutely cutting edge. And, before, 3D polygons were what they are now and stuff like that. And just, driving down the track. The one thing that was pretty cool is it would go from day to night. And that was the big selling point back then, like, ooh, wow, but I was playing this game and I'm like, man, oh man, this has not held up very well. I mean, some games hold up well from, back in '89 and stuff like that. Some do not. And Victory Run, it has a great box art, but boy, oh boy, it doesn't hold up too well. Okay, the other item I picked up from the Vancouver Retro Gaming Expo, I was walking around the show floor with my wife and my daughter, and I'm looking around, and I look up at this one seller, and this is up on his shelf, and I'm like, what? And he had it listed for about $80. And he's like, you know what? He goes, I'll give it to you for $50. And I'm like, $50? Really? And so I got a copy. Look at this. This goes for about $120 online on eBay. The Lunar 2 Eternal Blue, a complete official strategy guide. Look at this, good old working designs back in the day. And this is a beautiful little guide. And for me, as you know, I love collecting guides from the 90s, from all the old classic games that I grew up with. And I love the strategy guides from back then. And I just love leafing through them, and you're leafing through history. And it is really transporting you back to a different time period. And how much I love the Lunar series. I was really happy to talk about that in my 50 best RPGs of all time episode. Like, Lunar is such a classic. Lunar 2 is such a classic as well.
Ha! Oh, great. Don't tell me you're hearing voices now.
I'm sure I heard something.
And I really wish, again, these forgotten series, man. Breath of Fire, forgotten. Lunar, forgotten. And it's sad. It's the end of an era. And it's only people my age that still remember these games and recommend them. But big deal I got on this. And I didn't go in expecting to buy anything that day. And I'm like, Lunar 2, the strategy guide for sale? Oh, I didn't know I wanted that, but I wanted it. And so very happy to pick this up. Okay, a couple more games, and then a book to end it all with. And I just picked this up. It just arrived from Limited Run, Devil Engine Complete Edition. Now, you know with me, I'm trying to build up my shooting collection on the Nintendo Switch, and I was like, I saw the Japanese version of this, and I'm gonna check something with you right now. We're gonna open this up because I wanna check something. Because I saw the Japanese artwork for this, and I loved it. And I'm really hoping there's a reversible slipcover. No, there's not. There's not. Darn it. That's really too bad. That's really too bad. A decent enough cover, but the Japanese cover for the Switch is so cool. It's like the ship, and yeah, no, it looks really, really interesting. And so, yeah, I'm really excited to play this. So that's why I'm definitely taking out the shrink wrap so I can get to trying this out. Have you guys played Devil Engine? What do you think about it? I'd really be curious to know. Is it a good shooter? What would you give it out of 10? Let me know, because I'm really looking forward to playing it. Okay, the last item is something I saw up on Twitter, and I ordered it right away. And it came, I think I ordered it from Limited Run. NES Endings Compendium, Volume 1, 1985 to 89. For a lot of us out there, these are some of the games that we grew up with on the NES. And this is a beautiful book by Ray Esterban. And he's done a great job of documenting the endings for all the classic games, from Castlevania to The Legend of Zelda, Tyson's Punch-Out, so many old fantastic classics. And he really's gone in here and really shows you the artwork, and I really love this so much. I mean, getting to Bionic Commando and seeing the ending of that was really cool. That's one of my favorite endings on an NES game ever. It's just so wild, but it's just neat. It's just great stuff here. Let's just go back. Here we go. That's the ending to Dragon Warrior. And look at how it's presented. Very, very, very nice. And you never know sometimes when you're ordering a book and you're like, I think I know what this, if this is going to be like. Is it going to be good? I sat outside about a week ago and went through this entire thing and just adore it. I think it's so cool. And it's such a love letter to a forgotten time, and showing all of the old classic endings to Ninja Gaiden for most of us who could have gotten to the end of Ninja Gaiden. Really nostalgic. And I like to say that on this channel quite a lot, but this is very nostalgic. High recommendations. The NES Endings Compendium. I don't know anybody to do with any of this stuff. I just bought this as a fan, and I liked it as a fan, and I'm recommending it as a fan. So guys, I will ask you, what have you picked up in the way of new game stuff? Let me know down below. So anyways, guys, until next time.